My name is Takashi Takahashi. Today, I'll be presenting about our experience of a successful transition from peer review to peer learning system at University of Minnesota. At our institution, we have been using random daily RAP peer scoring system since June 2013. This peer review system has several limitations, including its case selection bias, underrepresentation of errors, punitive nature, inability to capture great catches, and others. As such, the existing peer review system provided only a very limited ability to achieve meaningful performance improvement by our practicing radiologists. With a departmental requirement of 3 cases per day per faculty submission, peer review system reached peak utilization with a monthly submission rate of roughly 400 to 500 cases. However, over 95% of submitted cases each month were scored as totally agree, and the rest were largely mostly agree. Minor or major misses were extremely rare. Beginning in June 2020, we have started our transition to implement a new peer learning program, replacing the antiquated peer review system. The primary objective of the peer learning program is to provide a forum for radiologists to actively teach and learn from one another while mutually committing to performance improvement as individuals, as a group, and as a system. We have set 6 specific measurable goals for the year to keep track of our progress. Build peer learning case submission and data review platforms. Organize a peer learning liaison committee. Attain 200 case submissions by the end of the academic year. Measure percentage of faculty participation, beginning with a target goal of 1 case per month per faculty member. Begin peer learning conference for each division, taking place at least quarterly. Build a peer learning system that meets ACR accreditation requirements, therefore allowing a sunset of peer review system by the end of the academic year. At the beginning of this process, we developed an overall plan for academic year on a quarter basis. The first quarter we called planning phase. After reviewing the existing literature, including attending the virtual ACL session on peer learning, a PowerPoint presentation was prepared to help communicate the goals of this transition to peer learning to relevant leaders in our department and the larger healthcare system. Emphasis was placed on the existing peer review limitations and the path to building an effective peer learning program. During the second quarter, we have started to design and develop the system backbone. In order to allow more flexibility of case submissions, a new HIPAA-compliant online submission system was developed using REDCap. The primary requirement we set for this system was to keep the submission process as simple as possible so radiologists could easily submit cases. To maintain anonymity at the level of data entry, 2 separate forms were created. After submission of the case, submitter will be prompted for their name on their separate page, but this is stored in entirely separate database. Since our practice is highly subspecialized, we have asked each division to identify a peer learning designee to lead peer learning conference within each division. Access to the original submitted cases are restricted to each divisional representative in an effort to maintain anonymity of the case. The third quarter was actual launching phase of the peer learning. We have started a monthly peer learning liaison committee meeting during this quarter. First, a division-wide pilot conference was conducted as an example of how peer learning conferences were intended to be conducted. Subsequently, the initial round of divisional peer learning conference began in February 2021. The cases were presented in PowerPoint format prepared by divisional designee. Once we have confirmed successful launch of peer learning system, we shifted our attention to sunsetting peer review system. In order to ensure our peer learning program met ACR peer review guidelines, a 9 pages departmental peer learning standard operating procedure document was drafted addressing each requirements. Once the documents were approved internally and verified to meet the peer review alternative pathway requirement by ACR, the score-based peer review system was discontinued. During the fourth quarter, we have also developed and launched data dashboard to allow easier access and more visually appealing interface of the submitted cases. This dashboard was created using Power BI. The online submission form was launched in December 2020. By the end of 2021, we have successfully received over 200 case submissions. The monthly submission for peer learning cases were consistently higher than the potential learning qualified cases with original peer review system. This is largely driven by opportunity to submit grade catch in this new system. 5 out of 6 subspecialty divisions conducted at least one peer learning conference during the quarter. 57% of radiologists participated in case submissions. In order to encourage and remind participation to this new submission system, we have continued to closely monitor rate of data submission, and reminder email has been sent, initially bi-weekly and currently monthly. Despite still being early in the implementation of this peer learning program, the degree of faculty participation in our department suggests a successful transition. Outlining an achievable plan step by step and executing that plan allowed us to build a peer learning program from the ground up and entirely replace the prior peer review system in less than 1 year. During each steps of this process, critical decision-making was necessary. These small but various challenges were facilitated by early engagement with leaders and establishing the committee of divisional liaisons. However, participation can still be improved, and a high priority is ensuring sustainability. Collaboration with the integrated private practice group began during the final quarter of this program development, but certainly can be expanded.